Do you believe in the Vegas jackpot? Because that is what the CBC commentators described it as when the Vegas Golden Knights completed their 4-0 sweep over the Los Angeles Kings just a few minutes ago. What an incredible series. And honestly, if you had to ask me, this was not a completely lopsided series, and I think anybody who's watching this series knows that. The fact that Vegas won 4-0 is certainly, it's absolutely deserved for the Vegas Golden Knights, but at the same time, it isn't a staple of just, oh, how poor the Kings were performing in this year's playoffs. Now, first things first, I want to get things out of the way. Yes, I understand, I was incorrect. In my playoff predictions video, I predicted the Kings to beat the Golden Knights 4-2, and we all kind of know what happened there. But looking forward at things, looking over the series, you look at all these games, every single game was a one-goal game, and every single game was really close. And if it weren't for Jonathan Quick and Marc-Andre Fleury, we would have had a completely different series. Absolutely, no doubt in my mind there. But the fact that we did have two Stanley Cup quality goaltenders, two goaltenders who have 5 cups shared between them, it was just a goaltending performance, and probably one of the best goaltending performances we've seen in a playoff series in a very, very long time. If you look at all of these games, the Golden Knights 1 goal in Game 1, 2 in Game 2, 3 in Game 3, and 1 in Game 4 as well, for a total of 7 goals. The LA Kings scored 3 goals in total. Absolutely fantastic series, 10 goals scored in 4 games played. Things were absolutely amazing, and no doubt in my mind, if we play this series 7 more times, we wouldn't have the same result of the Kings losing 4 straight. If you want to ask me on my opinions on that Game 7, that Game 7 was a grueling game. Once again, a 1-0 shutout for Marc-Andre Fleury. Ironically, some of these shutouts were timed at very weird times, especially Game 1, wherein Marc-Andre Fleury got a 1-0 shutout, and over there in the East, Matt Murray got himself a 7-0 shutout against the Flyers. Things are looking good for Penguins goaltenders, or at least former Penguins goaltenders, as Marc-Andre Fleury in this series, absolutely phenomenal performance as well. And in this game in particular, he absolutely stole the show. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think that the LA Kings, at times, weren't playing like a team that was about to get swept 1-0. At times in the third period, things looked kind of weird. Adrian Kempe, Tyler Toffoli, Dustin Brown, a lot of these guys looked off at certain parts of the third period in Game 4, and to me, it looked like they weren't playing as a team that was 1 goal away from having a chance of continuing their playoff series. And obviously, that determination from them, or at least their lack thereof, it didn't pay off for them. They ended up losing. They couldn't even break the puck into the Vegas zone. The Knights had all the momentum. Even over there in LA, the Golden Knights just manhandled the Kings in the last few minutes of the game. And Marc-Andre Fleury, when the Kings were able to get opportunities, they were big ones. The crowd went crazy, and Marc-Andre Fleury was able to keep up every step of the way. And you could say the same thing about Jonathan Quick, basically for the entire series. All the goals that Quick let in, they were all goals that, a lot of goalies would have let in, because the Vegas Golden Knights did do a really good job of screening the goaltender as well as finding their moments to shoot. And on the other hand, Marc-Andre Fleury, just a fantastic performance this playoff series. Again, phenomenal performance. Obviously, I was wrong. I said that the LA Kings and their playoff experience and success is what's going to propel them forward against a brand new, inexperienced Vegas Golden Knights team, but at the same time, I didn't consider the idea of the Golden Knights legitimately stepping up to the plate here. And I think they took a lot of people by surprise by straight up sweeping the Kings in Series 1. This was almost like the Winnipeg-Anaheim series from a few years ago, wherein the Jets were winning the series the majority of the time. It's just that Anaheim came back and scored at the right moments to clinch every game. But at the same time, there weren't really any moments in this series where I felt like the Kings deserved the win. Every single game, I was like, yeah, no, the Kings aren't getting any goals. They don't deserve the win here. Marc-Andre Fleury is a brick wall. The Golden Knights are the true victors here, and I'm pleased with that result. But at the same time, though, how bad must it be to be Jonathan Quick right now? My goodness, What a performance by Quick, and what an absence of a performance by the rest of the LA Kings. Don't get me wrong, they were able to score a few goals, but my goodness, things just weren't looking up for the LA Kings. 3 goals in 4 games for this team. 1 in, 12, 13 on the power play? Just an emotional, distressing performance by the Kings out there on the ice. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was because of an entire lack of effort on the Kings' behalf. I mean, they did let up only a few goals in each game, and therefore they were warranted to have some opportunities to winning, but at the same time, they were shut out in games 1 and 4. Marc-Andre Fleury really stepped up, and overall, the Golden Knights, they absolutely deserved this victory. And I applaud them for that. I applaud them for being the best, let's face it, the best expansion team in the history of modern sports. They are securing their spot up there. Anaheim or San Jose is going to be next for them. But before I end off this video, there's actually one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that was Game 2. Because in Game 2, Vegas had a huge advantage, and that was the game that went to double overtime. So, of course, the advantage, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Drew Doughty. He was suspended for 1 game in the playoffs for that very questionable hit. And not questionable in the sense of, oh, that was a very bad hit. Is he going to get 7 games or 6 games? Who knows? It was questionable in the sense that was like, once the 1-game suspension was announced, a lot of fans out there were like, wait, what? You got suspended for that? Really? And overall, that was the biggest wave of reactions I was receiving, at least online, in real life, on the radio, in the media, things like that. And the Vegas Golden Knights, going into Game 2, I was saying to myself, yeah, no, the Knights need to win this game. They absolutely cannot lose in this game. Because if they lose to a Drew Doughty-less Los Angeles Kings team, what's that going to mean in Game 3 when Doughty comes back, the Kings have all the momentum in their favor, and we have a different series then? Interestingly enough, though, in Game 2, in the overtime and the double overtime periods, the Kings were playing more like a Kings team that didn't have Drew Doughty than a Kings team that won 2 cups. Because, for the most part, Vegas dominated the shots in this one, absolutely. Quick making 54 on 56 saves, and Marc-Andre Fleury facing 30 shots making 29 saves. Things were obviously in the favor of the Golden Knights, but I feel so bad for Quick, because in this game, this was the game where I was like, yeah, no, if LA wins this one without Doughty, LA has a really good shot of coming back and winning this series. Because Jonathan Quick is their saving grace right now. Quick is keeping them in this game, and if the rest of the Golden Knights aren't able to crack Jonathan Quick and allow the Kings to go up and score maybe 1 goal in the span of 2 overtime periods, it's an entirely different series. But Eric Howla had to happen, and from there I was like, okay, I think I know where this series is going. Of course, I was still hoping that LA would come back and win 4 in a row, because that's what my personal playoff predictions bracket looked like, but at the same time, this result doesn't surprise me either. The Vegas Golden Knights have shown throughout this series that they are capable of playing playoff hockey. The only thing is, they need to get a little bit more goals. And for sure, that's unfair to say of me. Absolutely. I understand that that is not a valid claim to make, because of the fact that, especially, Jonathan Quick was a huge stud for the Kings the entire season. You replace Quick with any other goaltender in the National Hockey League, and the Golden Knights would have had way more goals in that series, and this 4-0 sweep would have looked a little bit more convincing. But other than that, this is what we got. A 4-0 sweep with really tight games off of the backs of incredible goaltending performances. If Marc-Andre Fleury is able to maintain a strong goaltending performance against San Jose, against Anaheim, it's probably going to be San Jose, let's be real here. Fleury's been good against San Jose before. We've seen Fleury prevail in a playoff series against the San Jose Sharks. Sure, Murray was arguably the starter back then, but at the same time, Fleury was there too, and he's proven his worth. But absolutely, just a phenomenal playoff series. I want to see these guys meet in the playoffs again. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Plus, news, and like that, gaming, and bye.